Welcome to AI in Real Life, real talk with real experts, brought to you by the AI Institute for Societal Decision Making. I'm Katy, your host and an undergrad at Carnegie Mellon University. Today, we're on site at the inaugural AI-SDM workshop for human-AI teaming, exploring how artificial intelligence is shaping our world and the decisions we make every day. Today, we're joined by Professor Ido Erev from Technion Israel Institute of Technology, where he leads the Max Wertheimer Metaverse Center of Cognitive Research. Hi, Ido. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Just to begin, could you briefly introduce yourself and your lines of research?
Yes, I'm a psychologist by education, but my research is between economics and psychology. In recent years, I'm more interested in the interaction between human behavior and machine learning.
Got it. Okay. And then also from what I've learned looking at your past works, I know that your works highlight how humans deviate from, how humans making decisions which deviate from the typical rational models. And could you explain what rational decision making is and why human tends to deviate from it?
Yeah, actually my research clarifies the importance of distinguishing between two types of deviation from rational choice. The simple definition of rational choice is that a person will do what is good for them. So they try to earn as much money as they can. This is the simplest model of rational choice. And there are two types of deviation. One type of deviation that a person make a mistake. He selects an option that is not good for him. One extreme example will be like texting while driving. You save you save few seconds, but we know that this increases the probability of an accident that will kill you, and this will not be a fun accident by a factor of 5. So this is really stupid behavior to do, but many people, including myself, do it. So this is This is suboptimal behavior that is deviation from rational choice. So and this is costly for society. So it's a behavioral problem, but can be explained by deviation from rational choice. There as a second class of deviation from rational choice is a behavior that the person does that it's good for him, but it's bad for society. One important example is of course pollution. So I don't care about the environment, I throw out stuff, I overheat my house, there's global warming, and we're all going to suffer eventually. And this behavior could be rational because it's good for me to, especially if I don't pay the bills, I don't pay the bill, I don't care about the environment, so maybe it's convenient to me, but it's very bad for the environment. Now these are two very different, the distinction, so both those two type of behavioral problem, one of them is rational, the other one is not rational. And the distinction between whether it's rational or not is important if our goal is to reduce this, to address this problem, to try to reduce this problematic behavior.
Right. Got it. And then building from that, as you mentioned, there are two types of deviations. And then when making the decisions, people may have various motivations when doing that. And then how might that influence their choices? And how does this different motivations play a role in decision making? And how should AI system, like machine learning, account for them?
Well, there's many explanations for why people behave the way they are.
Yeah.
My research favors the assumption that people always try to select the strategy that was good for them in the past. So but they rely on the most similar past experience. And the reason why many people, including myself, text while drive is that because my past experience with texting and driving was actually pretty good. Nothing bad happened to me. One time I got a report while doing it, so I don't text around that area when it happens. So in this kind of situation, so basically my idea that the brain is a little bit like a machine learning algorithm, a classification algorithm. When you are in a new situation, you ask yourself, when I was in a similar situation in the past, and what was the optimal strategy to do when I was in that situation? Mm-hmm. So in the case of texting while driving, this leads to deviation from rational choice. In the case of polluting, many of the time I say, it was good to increase the heat. I slept better at night and stuff like that. So I think that you don't have to think about very much about complex motivations. There is a simple model that explains both why sometimes people deviate from rational choice and sometimes they are rational. And the interesting situation, if what we want is to create a better world, is to try to realize that sometimes this behavior create problems, are not good for society, and then to ask how we can reduce them.
Got it. And then from what you have described, I can understand that your work have a lot of implications to the everyday people and also policymakers. Could you share some insights and examples of how your work impacts the daily life of individuals, as well as its like relevance to policymakers and economic models?
Yeah, so traditionally, the way societies try to reduce this problematic behavior of the type that I described was by having laws and regulation. So, for example, there is a law that you are not allowed to text and drive, and there are laws that say that you should not, the factory should not pollute, and they put taxes on polluting behavior. So traditionally, we try to address this kind of thing, and my research ask what is the optimal way to do it. So, for example, we know that the current way to discourage people from texting and driving is not very effective, right? Because there is some fine, but the probability that you're being punished is low. And if you will punish people for looking at their phone while driving, when the phone is like this, they put it on their knees, and this is even more dangerous. So there is very difficult to solve this kind of problem. And I think that the new development in machine learning and artificial intelligence, this gives us an opportunity to improve laws and regulation and also improve the way we enforce them. And we can do that in a way that will reduce. So my main interest in AI is to think how we can use AI to help reduce the frequency of behavior that makes our world that impair our well-being.
Okay, got it. And then my next question is also about like shifting to AI, and how does the concept that you have mentioned, like especially regarding human deviates from rationality or any other concept in your research, can be applied to the AI in machine learning? And also, how can this help create a more human-like decision-making systems? And also, like, what are the key challenges in this area?
Well, there are many ways in which you can use AI to improve our life. But my research currently is focused on this law and regulation that are not working so well. How we can improve them? So, for example, in the case of texting while driving. So one thing you can do, and of course there's already AI application of that sort, but I'm trying to help one firm that develop them, is to say is an application that you put on your is in your car, and if you drive well, then they're going to reduce your insurance costs for next year. So if you really have to text while driving, this is really important. You should do it because it's going to cost you only $1, and now it's really important to do something because you forgot the fire at home and you want to call your significant other to do that. But in other situation, since it's going to cost you $1 each call that you are making, maybe you will not call unless it's important. So basically, we are trying to find an AI method that people can operate if they want, so and it doesn't have to spy over them. So you can have this method to be more like what we want to do in this firm is to simulate the seatbelt buzzer. So it doesn't have to record anything. It's just gonna give you discount if you drive well, and if you. So this is one example of how you can do it. But you can do it also with. I'll give you another extreme example that I'm trying to do is scientific progress. The current rule now in science that if you want to publish paper, it has to go via a review process, and another professor are going to evaluate your paper. Now the problem with that is that the other professor also have incentives. And for example, if you cite these other professors, maybe they are more likely to want your paper to be accepted. And that can slow down science, because instead of writing your best paper, you might write a paper that you think the reviewer gonna like. So one thing that we have tried to do to reduce this kind of problem is to try to think about a more objective AI criteria for accepting, for evaluating research. We organize choice prediction competitions. So basically, we challenge people not only to write a paper that sounds good, but also can be evaluated based on objective criteria. So we think there's more things to do that. There are more situations which you can use AI to reduce the frequency of counterproductive behaviors.
Okay, got it. I'm really looking forward to see those systems developed. And we know that as AI continues to evolve, where do you see the human judgment remaining like superior to AI? And how do you envision AI system evolving to like complement rather than replace all those like human decision making?
Yeah, so I think, it's happened in scientific development or technological development in the past. People are scared when there is a development, but then they realize that all these new tools are only tools that help people.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that this gonna replace people. That it will be more tools that people can use to solve problem and then to do something more interesting and more important. So of course, we have to make sure that to make sure that this is happening and that we not fire people for the wrong reasons. But I think that my hope is that, of course, this is another challenge, how we can find better things to do with if one day we will not need driver, hopefully we'll find better things for these people that currently work as drivers. How to do that, this will be a challenge, but I'm sure, based on history, I think it will be easy to do.
And then, as what you've described, all those examples, they're like very specific actions that people take, like risk taking or like taxi while driving or like even larger like gambling stuff. And then you can design like AI or like using machine learning to help to prevent that or like helping people to reduce the risk. And then I'm wondering is how much extent are this system generalizable?
Well, my interest is to develop models that describe human behavior, not only in while driving and not only while buying lotteries. Our research is our basic research is basic. People come to the lab and they have to select between two abstract key and they get feedback. This is a typical experiment. So we study basic learning processes. And in this research, we found that that the behavior is very general. In this setting, people in different cultures behave very differently. And in fact, we find some similarity between the behavior of human subject and another animal. We actually have one study with bumblebee. Bees also behaved like human in this kind of setting. So we think it's something very general, that as a way animal responds to feedback is by or gain experience. They try to select the action that led to the best outcome in the most similar situation in the past. By the way, machine learning algorithms also do that. The way machine learning work is to do classification, find the most similar past experience and do best reply. So we think we are talking here about something very general. And so we found this result in the laboratory in abstract settings, and then we have some field research showing that you get the model that we develop in these very basic settings also explain behavior in natural setting. Now there may be more complex incentive. Some people may like the incentive of gambling and some people like to take risk, but we think that you don't really have to, the model doesn't have to be so many of these behaviors that appear to reflect some love of gambling, or could also be just because some people think about past experience in which they were lucky. And so we don't, our model is pretty general. Of course there are other models, and this is why we organize this choice prediction competition. We challenge people to come up with better model. Our model assumes that it's a very general process.
Got it. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us today. To our listeners, you can explore these topics further by visiting our website at www.cmu.edu/AI-SDM, where you can also submit questions for future guests. Don't forget to subscribe for more discussions on how AI shapes our society. Join us next time on AI in Real Life, Real Talk with Real Experts. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to having you with us again.